I'm going to show you the 3 steps I took to quit my job. I was working a job like most of you that I just didn't enjoy. I wasn't passionate about it. I didn't enjoy where I was in life. I always knew there was more to life. I would see people online travelling, making money. They had different businesses. They just had exciting lives that I knew I wanted that. So last week I took a leap and I quit my job, and I'm now living in Spain, and I get to spend all day pursuing what I'm interested in, which for me is trying to grow a business. I get to spend time at the gym. I get to hang around other people who are like-minded and stuff and have the same ambitions as me. So let's get into it. How did I do it, and how could you do it as well? So the first step is to get out of debt. So if we go back about 3 years, I was in 20 grand plus of debt, and it just cripples you because it feels like the only thing you do is you work to pay off the debt. So at the time I was paying off £1,000 every month. £250 a week from every paycheck that I got went straight to paying that off. It felt like a ball and chain around me. I couldn't travel, I couldn't move out and get a flat, I couldn't do anything I wanted to do in life. It was just all about paying the debt down, and it just feels like this weight, and you'll end up resenting work a lot more because you go, I'm just working to pay a bill here, and you don't feel like you actually get to do what you want in life. So that leads me on to my second point, which is to keep your expenses low. So the biggest trap I'll mention first of all, many people I know have done this, is buying an expensive car. You'll get it on finance. In the UK it's called like PCP. You put a deposit down, so let's say it's a £20,000 car, you'd put maybe a £2,000 deposit down, and then you'll just pay up like monthly installments up to the half the price of the car, and then at the end of that you can choose to buy the car, which will be a 3 or 4 year old car at that point. You can pay a lump sum to buy the rest of it, or you can just take the car back and then go with the payments again. And the reason car companies do that is because you'll think, oh, it's only £300 a month or something like that for a car, but it's like, yeah, it's £300 a month plus insurance, plus road tax, plus all the fuel and the maintenance and keeping it clean, and it just weighs on you. So like, you could be paying £500, £600, £700, £800 a month out of your salary just to have a nicer car, when it's an older car that runs, will still get you from A to B. It's not the flashy lifestyle. Same with buying houses that you can't afford, where mortgages can be £1,500 of your wage, and this is me assuming that you're making £2,000 to £3,000 a month, a kind of average 30 grand wage, that kind of thing, where people just spend so much on a nice house and a nice car, and then the rest will just go on partying. Nights out alone can be £200 every weekend, eating out every day. Like, swap these things for cheaper alternatives, where instead of eating out, you would buy food in, you make healthy food yourself, instead of going out at the weekend partying and getting drunk and spending lots of money on. The amount of people I know that have wasted money on drugs as well is unreal, that have gone to thousands of pounds of debt, and when you owe a drug dealer money as well, that's a fun place to be. I've seen that firsthand. Not me, but people around me, not like that, I don't do drugs. And it's just bad to be in a position like that, where you almost, I can make a whole video on this about how your lifestyle affects your expenses and stuff, but the main point is just stay in at the weekends, go out with friends for something like a run, or to the gym, or a coffee. It doesn't have to be big expensive things. Just spend time with people and focus on things that are cheap, things that are just fulfilling. Like fitness, it should be a priority in everyone's life, and that will definitely help as well, because a gym membership and eating clean food that you buy yourself isn't as expensive as going out. So even for me, for example, at the minute, is I just have such small overheads, where to stay in this villa I'm about £150 a month, and then apart from that I've just got my food bill, which I'll go out and just buy stuff when I want, which a weekly shop here is about €50, I'd say. So what's that, 200 plus 150, and then I'm about a £50 a month for phone bill. So my expenses right now are about £400 if I just work and go out a run in the hills behind me and stuff like that, and spend time with the boys at night. So you can keep lifestyle really cheap, and when you're back home that may look like still living at home with mum and dad, or renting a flat with other people, ride sharing, or not having a car, or having a really old cheap car. All these things add up over time to keep your expenses really low. And that leads me on to point 3, which is you want to save up as much money as possible. And you're able to do this because of point 1, getting out of debt. That should be your main priority. I mean, for me, I was 2 and a bit years, so I say get out of debt as if it's not a big deal, but when you're in the trenches and it's just every week after week after week after week, you just have nothing to do apart from just work. That's what you need to do if you're in that position. Like, you've got to just set yourself a goal and set a target, and just set the direct debits up coming off, or subscriptions as well, cancel them. Just, you need to be getting out of debt, then you need to be cutting expenses. Like, the two then go hand in hand, and then saving up, because if you can have your expenses low like mine, where I'd probably budget about £1,000 a month, because I like £600 extra. That's my money for now going out. Like, I'm in Spain, I can travel for a bit, or I can invest it in something, or I can buy things for the business, and that helps me out a lot, that kind of little buffer there. And it doesn't, even £1,000 a month, that's not an expensive lifestyle. And again, I could talk about a whole lifestyle video separately about traps that people fall into, that I've seen so many people where they then trap themselves in a life that they don't want to be in, and they can't get out of it now. But if you're saving up your money, and I would say 3 to 6 months is the recommended amount. I've got about enough for 10 months here, so that's when I was like, yeah, I'm at the point I can take the leap. But on the side as well, that's your time to focus on. For me, it was a business. For you, it could be, I don't know, a remote job, or you could go back to university, or do an open university online. You could study for something you're passionate about. You could be making content like this, if that's something you're passionate about. But look at different ways to make money that you're interested in, that you find engaging, and you could be doing that. So for me as well, I wanted to be safe in the knowledge that, for me right now, I can have good days where I can make a couple £100, and then I can have bad days. Like today, I think I'm down about £70 already. And you want to be safe in the knowledge that you've got savings that you can live off of. So for me right now, I've left my job before the business was at a consistent profitable point, but I had the savings where that's my safety net. That's what allows me to do this, to take that leap, to take that risk, quit the job and try and every day work on the business, is because I know that I don't need my business to succeed for another 10 months. I've got that time, I can just live off savings. I've got that buffer. And then it's like, worst case as well, if you do quit your job, you can always go back and get another job. It's not like people say, oh, what did you do for that year you were away? And it's like, oh, I tried to start a business and I travelled, and I met tons of people and I learned a whole new language. No one's going to think, oh, that's a weird thing to do. I mean, they might think it's weird to do, but I think people would also be like, you know what, fair play, you tried something you're interested in. So yeah, that's it. 3 really simple steps. Nothing I've said here is really groundbreaking. It just takes time, and it's easy enough for me to say, yeah, just pay off debt for 2 or 3 years, just live really cheap for 2 or 3 years. But I'm living proof here that it works. If you do it, you can be at a spot you want to be in a few years. And I'll make other videos as well in the future showing what it was like when I wasn't enjoying where I was in life, and a lot of the pitfalls and stuff I fell into, because I felt there's not a lot of people showing that stuff out there of, I'm in a place I don't want to be. Even now, I'm not where I want to be, and I still need to work really hard to make all the business stuff work, because it's nowhere near where it should be for me to be comfortable, for me to be safe. So for me, there was just always a vision, or not even a full vision, it was a feeling of just, there was more out there. I wanted to be free. I didn't want to be just living the same day on repeat, working on something I wasn't passionate about. And if you're in that position now, I would just say keep working at the job, but you need to make some changes, because if you don't change, nothing's going to change. and that looks like able to pay off your debt, which means probably right now you're going to need to start downgrading your lifestyle, which means selling the car, downgrading the house, either selling that, or if you're renting, go to a cheaper apartment or back in with parents, stop the eating out. You probably know to do all these things already, and then all that extra money is going to go to paying off debt, and then the extra stuff after that straight into savings, investments and savings accounts. And it is difficult, but I think long after you've finished watching this video, if I can tell you one thing that has helped me and that I've never regretted, is taking a risk on something you believe in. I've always came out better on the other side from when I've taken risks. Like, for me anyway, it was giving up my flat. That was a risk where I went, I'm moving back in with mum and dad here to save money. That felt weird. And then starting up with the trading as well, that was risking my money, and it all went wrong. And then I risked more money, and that went wrong. And then I risked some more again, and then it finally started working. And then risking more money paying for mentorships, and risking more money paying for like trading groups and stuff. And I've risked a lot of things before, but I always felt good that I was risking it on something I was passionate about. And then quit my job, that was probably the biggest risk of all. But it becomes a case of, you've got to think to yourself, where do you want your life to go? Do you want to just keep living the same day? Because I'm not gonna lie, if you're watching this video, you're probably living in your comfort zone. You probably work the same job every day. You probably go to the same places for dinner, watch the same shows, have the same routine, hang around with the same friends. Your life day to day, apart from holidays or some big event, probably looks pretty similar. And you're probably a bit scared to take some kind of risk that will shake that up. You're scared of what people will say. You're scared of how it will turn out and stuff. And all I can say is, as long as you're probably not going to hear this, by the way. Oh well, if it's not dying down, it's not dying down. But all I can say is, you're not going to know what your life will look like unless you change it. And this is a pretty safe framework, I would say, to change your life, where you've got that safety net. You can always go back and get another job, and you kind of need to take a risk sometimes in life, because I know so many people who get to their 40s, 50s, 60s, go their whole life, and they'll just say, I wish I travelled when I was younger, I wish I'd done that when I was younger, before kids, before marriage, before whatever. And do you really want that for your life, to always think, what could have been, what if? And for me, that was the scariest thing ever, of just never taking that chance, never doing something, never seeing what could happen. And you've probably got something in mind from when I've been talking here, and that's the risk you'll be thinking about long after you finish watching this video. Anyway, this was my first ever scripted video. If you found it helpful and you'd like to see more stuff around trading, the business stuff I'm trying to do, lifestyle, travel, all stuff like that, give us a subscribe, gotta plug it somehow. And if you found this video helpful, a like would be appreciated as well. Thanks for watching.